Have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
Are you a junkie? As Joe Biden talking to a black CBS News reporter in 2020, getting all angry, getting all Abe Simpson on him. Come on, man. And he's talking to a black reporter. What do I have you take a drug test when you talk to me? What do you mean cognitive test? Why would you think there's anything wrong with my brain? And he pounded his forehead on the table. It's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? Big racist that he is. Michael Pierce and I were also talking this morning about, all the talk of drugs and President Trump saying he'd take a drug test before the debate on Thursday night, the day after tomorrow, if Joe Biden takes one, because there is some talk, what did Joe Biden, what was he doing during the State of the Union, and is he going to be doing the same thing again? Why is he holed up at Camp David for 6 days leading up to the big presidential debate on Thursday night? And what are they doing to him there? Are they pumping him full of stuff? Is he in an iron lung? Is he in a cave, in a crypt of some kind? Are they pumping him full of stuff? Are they maybe more plastic surgery on his face and hair plugs? And who knows what they're doing to him? And then we were reminded of, since they're talking about, and the Reverend Al Charlatan said that he shouldn't do cocaine. He shouldn't do cocaine. But Charlemagne, the misspelled God, says that he should do performance-enhancing drugs, whatever kind of performance-enhancing drugs they can find. He wants them to be Barry Bonds and hit home runs, I guess. The Charlemagne, the misspelled God, remarkable stuff. So the Democrats, they've got mixed feelings about this, but one thing's for sure, they're going to loot a bunch of places real soon. So just, loot lemon and Louis Vuitton, lock your doors because the Democrats are coming, and every place else, from Chicago to every place. But we were talking and said, remember when Hunter Biden was talking about smoking crack cocaine with then Washington, D.C. mayor, my mayor. I voted for him repeatedly, in large part, or in no small part, because he set back statehood by decades every time he was reelected. And there should be no statehood for the federal district, that is Washington, D.C., where I live. We should have no representation whatsoever, definitely not. I know, I live here. Take my word for this. I know these people and those people and you people. I know all those people. Remarkable stuff. But Hunter Biden, this is a video that was, he made it himself, didn't he? This is his own video. He made the video, and it was on his laptop, which, Dana Bash's ex-husband lied to us and said that it was because he's a crooked Democrat, Obama administration official, fake intelligence person, not a real intelligence person, just a political weasel. And, honestly saying, oh, yeah, that's Russian disinformation. No, but that letter signed by you was Russian disinformation, you little fascist. And here is Hunter Biden with his own home video from his laptop talking about smoking crack with then D.C. Mayor Marion Barry next door to a bar that I used to go to a lot called The Guards. The Guards was a fine place, many great bartenders, great neighborhood place. And Hunter Biden used to go there when he was a student at Georgetown University and a sophomore or junior, and he would go smoke crack with the mayor of Washington, D.C. How does he do that? Well, he says, hey, my father is Senator Joe Biden. And Marion Barry says, oh, you want to smoke crack? And Hunter naturally says, yeah, sure, Marion Barry, Democrat mayor of our nation's capital. I would like to smoke crack. I'd smoke crack with you. I'd smoke crack without you. And Marion Barry said the same thing. He said, yeah, I'd smoke crack with you, and I'd smoke crack without you, too. And then Marion Barry went to prison for smoking crack on FBI video. It was FBI crack, and they brought in that woman, to to set him up, the GDB that set him up That's all true. Hunter Biden and his pal Marion Barry smoking crack.
Marion Barry, you know what? I actually smoked crack with Marion Barry. I swear to God.
Jesus.
I was in Georgetown. We used to go to a place right next to the guards, and I was a sophomore, I guess. It was a junior when that happened, but he used to come there and drink like late.
Sure he did.
And I would be in there, and he'd go to the bathroom. But anyway.
Then he'd go to the bathroom. But anyway, Democrats. That's pretty normal Democrat Party stuff. So when Joe Biden shows up, I think on Thursday, drug test, just somebody tackle him, hold him to the ground, stick a needle in his arm, take some blood, do a speedy. They should have a mobile lab in a van outside of the venue, and they should have drug testing facilities at Camp David too. They've got them up there. They've got a theater and an airplane hangar set up and they brought in lights. They built a stage that looks just like the stage that they're going to use, CNN is, for the debate, the Democrat Party. The whole thing is rigged. It's all rigged. Yes, sir. Yeah, the cognitive test. How about a cognitive test? Cognitive test, drug test. Democrats don't have to test for anything. President Trump did take the cognitive test, you may recall, at the insistence of the radical left-wing crazy people, and not for Joe Biden. Not for Joe Biden, because we all know that his brain, she's a broke. She's a no good. I am telling you. Isn't it amazing? Yes, sir. All right, now let me, because yesterday we talked about this. This is a remarkable thing that the Trump campaign spokeswoman, lovely and talented Caroline Leavitt, went on CNN with this left-wing hack, right, Casey Hunt, who pretends to be a journalist at CNN, as do so many, like Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, to name but two. And remarkable. I don't know Casey Hunt, but I do know Jake Tapper, and I do know Dana Bash. I used to work with Dana Bash long ago when I was at CNN. Jake Tapper, I've kind of known from around the city. Our conversations are not as light and cordial as they once were, because he's very intolerant, very belligerent, very arrogant. Me, I'm fine. I'll talk to Jake Tapper and say, oh yeah, well, you guys are crooked, you're corrupt. And then things go south, because the truth is not their bag, baby. But Caroline Leavitt was on the CNN news channel, allegedly, with this Casey Hunt person, and it didn't go very well at all.
First of all, it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently
stop this interview if you're going to keep
President
attacking
Trump
my colleagues.
to Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you
I'm
continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
We're here to attack Trump, you see.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back.
No, you're not welcome to come back. And this is the network that's hosting, that's moderating. That's an inappropriate word in this context. The debate the day after tomorrow, Thursday night. Remarkable stuff. What journalism has become. Journalism is dead in America, and Casey Hunt is a perfectly adequate representation of that fact. I had to leave CNN because, the truth. I was all about the truth. And it was so great because shortly after I left CNN, I ran into a guy at a party. I talked to him for 3 minutes, and he said, "Do you want to do a radio show?" That's Chris Berry, and that's what happened. He was the general manager of WMAL, my mothership station to this day in Washington, D.C., a great legacy station, historic station. And I left CNN because when I was asked by people, what do you do for a living? I started making things up because it was too embarrassing to say that I worked for CNN at that point. And I was just going to go sell arms in Africa or traffic and something. But I I then ran into this guy, Chris Berry, at a party that my best girl dragged me to. I didn't want to go to. And I talked to him for 3 minutes, and he just squinted at me, and he said, "You need to come and do a radio show." I'm like, "I don't even know your name. Who are you, and what are you talking about?" And sure enough, a couple days later, I was doing a radio show, and I was like, "Hey, well, you can tell the truth here?" That is just great. Of course, one of my sayings, it's a great saying because I came up with it. Well, not because, but it is. And that is, nothing gets you in trouble like the truth. And that's more true today than it was when I started in radio. Nothing gets you in trouble like the truth. Caroline Leavitt of the Trump campaign, spokeswoman, wonderful, lovely, talented Caroline Leavitt, went on the Sean Hannity program last night on the Fox News channel, where she was asked about this encounter on CNN.
The fact that President Trump is knowingly walking into a 3-on-1 cage match with crooked Joe Biden, fake Jake Tapper, and Dana Bash, who have a long history of lies against President Trump, shows his willingness and his commitment to bring his winning message to every corner of this country.
Well, see, that's what I'm talking about right there. And fake Jake Tapper should come up with a Dana, for a little nickname for Dana Bash, too, because Caroline Leavitt. Hey, Caroline, CNN, Casey Hunt just cut you off, talked over you. You started talking about, the fact that the deck is stacked. And it's not like this is conjecture or an assault. You're pointing out that the so-called moderator, Jake Tapper, has attacked President Trump as Hitler and all this stuff. In fact, the Media Research Center yesterday put together a nice compilation of Jake Tapper and Dana Bash saying a lot of these things. But Caroline Leavitt last night addressing these issues on the Sean Hannity program. CNN, you can't handle the truth.
CNN censored me today because they can't handle the truth. And they have been pushing lies about President Trump since he stepped into the political arena 8 years ago. They propagated the Russia hoax. They helped the Biden campaign censor the truth about the Hunter Biden laptop story. They pushed the Charlottesville hoax that a far-left outlet finally 7 years later debunked yesterday. And they have an anti-Trump bias that is at the core of their organization.
It's almost hilarious, but it's pathetic and fraudulent that yesterday Snopes, the fake fact checkers at Snopes, actually came out with a fact check, and it's kind of hilarious that Donald Trump didn't really remember Charlottesville, where the Democrats were tearing down statues like the Taliban, and there was a dust up, and that poor young woman was run over by a car. And there were a bunch of lefties running around with ski masks on and clubs beating people over the head because, they're a violent gang of rebel. Well, Snopes, the frauds at Snopes, actually yesterday came out with a new fact check saying, it turns out Trump didn't say that there are good people on both sides. And Snopes said that when, he wasn't talking about neo-Nazis and white nationalists, who he said should be condemned totally. The fact checkers are complete frauds and charlatans. Amazing. Caroline Leavitt, but Snopes came up with a fact checker saying, 7 years later, after Charlottesville, 7 years ago. Snopes, the fake fact, don't believe a word they say on any. I fact check them, all right, because they're such a joke. But Caroline correctly pointed that out, that Snopes finally 7 years later came up with this. Caroline Leavitt on with Sean Hannity.
Well, it was a little bit shocking, I'll be honest with you, to have my microphone cut off and dumped from the program after less than 2 minutes. And all I was doing was repeating statements that Jake Tapper has said on air himself about President Trump. So Jake Tapper can go on the air. He can lie about President Trump. He can say his presidency was an American nightmare. He could push the Hunter Biden laptop scandal in an effort to help Joe Biden's campaign. And he can compare President Trump to Hitler, which is disgusting and egregious. But when I try to breach that subject on the network, they cut me off. They can me.
I love that they call you Hitler and then they go attack the Jews at the synagogue in Los Angeles and stop sending weapons to Israel when they're defending themselves against a genocidal death cult called Hamas. Hitler indeed. Hey, speaking of things that Democrats lie about, 2 years ago, this month, Roe v. Wade was overturned and was returned to the states. And the Democrats, they said, well, nobody will be able to get an abortion on demand up to the last minute. Well, completely crazy. Since Roe v. Wade, there have been 65 million unborn babies that have been taken by abortion. 65 million. And just in the year after Roe was overturned, more than 1 million babies, the greatest number in 12 years in the United States. But a great organization called Preborn honors these souls who have never had a chance to take their first breath. Who would they have become? What would they have grown up to be? Seems like we've lost a generation or so. It's also reported that the abortion pill now accounts for 64% of abortions in the United States. That's why every day Preborn's network of clinics stands strong for these unborn babies, offering support and free ultrasounds to show mothers with unplanned pregnancies the life that's growing inside of them. And once the mother sees the ultrasound, sees the baby, hears the heartbeat, mothers are very often twice as likely to choose life. So I'm asking, will you join Preborn and the Chris Plant Show in defense of the preborn? One ultrasound costs just $28. $140 helps to rescue 5 babies. All you have to do is dial pound 250 on your cell phone, and when prompted, use the keyword baby. That's pound 250, and the keyword is baby. Or you can go online to preborn.com/plant. That's preborn.com/PLANTE. And rest assured that 100% of your tax-deductible donations goes toward helping to save babies and their mothers. Yes, sir. Yeah, wacky Democrats, they'll cut you off. They'll smoke crack with you. They won't take drug tests. They won't take cognitive tests. They'll demand that the other guy be held to a very high standard. But were it not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. I got news on tuberculosis, Donald Trump's peace in Ukraine. The media is very upset about it. Let's grab oh no, I've run out the clock, haven't I? I've pretty much run out the clock, which I do so often. Yes. Well, here's a crazy story. In Washington, D.C., tuberculosis cases are up 82%. Up 82% in Washington, D.C. Sure. In 2023, tuberculosis. Got nothing to do with illegal stinking aliens, though. Ah, yes. Tuberculosis making a big comeback in Washington, D.C. Just don't suggest it's because of our open borders. We had eradicated tuberculosis in the United States. It was one of the really great things, one of 1,000 really amazing great things, 10,000 great things that we've done as a country, as a nation, as a people. But the Democrats are bringing old diseases back. And new ones, too. They got monkeypox. Just stay off my back. That's the monkeypox thing. CNN put out a statement. They're very upset that anybody was less than happy about the Caroline Leavitt moment with Casey Hunt, where Casey Hunt proved that she's a dim-witted Democrat Party hack and shouted down. They invited the spokeswoman on from the campaign, and she wanted to point out that the deck is stacked because of the people that were chosen, right, to so-called moderate the debate. And CNN, they put out a statement where they say they're very proud of Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. They're two network personalities. They're personalities. They were chosen to moderate, that's a funny word, Thursday's debate in Atlanta, Georgia. And the CNN people, they said in a statement, they said, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are well-respected veteran journalists who have covered politics for more than 5 decades combined. You got to combine them. to get 5 decades. That could be 25 years each, and then you can say, well, it's 5 decades combined. It's 50 years, 5 decades. It's a half a century combined. Those are their credentials. They've had the jobs for a long time. Then they continue. They have extensive experience moderating major political debates, including CNN's Republican presidential primary debate this cycle. There are no two people better equipped to co-moderate a substantial and fact-based discussion, and we look forward to the debate on June 27th in Atlanta. Sure, yeah. And I said it was a tense exchange between CNN's Casey Hunt and the President Trump campaign press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. And honestly, where they just, the invited guest was shouted down and not allowed to speak by the fake anchor, the fanker. They're called fankers, you know. And boy, oh boy. And as Caroline Leavitt pointed out, you know, President Trump's walking knowingly, said, going into a hostile environment. And this very network on CNN with the debate moderators who have made their opinions about him very well known over the past 8 years. And their biased coverage of him. And then she was shouted down and cut off, and that was the end of it. Now, the great people at the Media Research Center and my friend Brent Bozell, the great MRC, the great Media Research Center, put together a little bit of a montage of Jake Tapper and Dana Bash from their glorious journalistic past talking about President Trump.
Now the Trump presidency is coming to an end. It has been a time where truth and fact were treated with disdain. It is a time of cruelty, an era of just plain meanness.
By
for
the
tens
media?
of millions of our fellow Americans, their long national nightmare is over.
Trump's claim
stop
about
looting.
Biden orchestrating the trial is baseless. Allegations with absolutely no evidence that he was making against President Biden, that he is behind all of the prosecutions. There's no evidence that Joe Biden was involved. There's no evidence.
There's a lot of it. Well, the White House meetings.
Biden himself was involved.
We are waiting for former President Trump to make his first formal remarks. We're not carrying his remarks live because, frankly, he says a lot of things that are not true and sometimes potentially dangerous.
Like CNN, honestly. And then it goes on and on and on from there. We could make it a 1-hour special documentary film that CNN would never show. That's great stuff. Oh, yeah, there's no evidence that the Biden White House is behind any of this other than, you know, the meetings at the White House with Fannie Willis's boyfriend, Nathan Wade, and the flying up here and spending 8 hours at the White House and then going back to Atlanta. And then the number 3 guy in Joe Biden's Justice Department leaving this very highfalutin job at the Justice Department to go take a drop in rank of about 12 notches to go to Manhattan to work for the George Soros radical there that's prosecuting Donald Trump in New York. The list goes on of the contacts between the White House, the Justice Department with the left-wing prosecutors going after Trump. Yeah, no reason to think there's any connection. There's no evidence. No, Dana, there's plenty of evidence that should raise eyebrows at CNN and should raise eyebrows with you, but doesn't. Isn't that amazing? It doesn't raise any eyebrows at CNN. Just amazing. Yes, sir. And I should point out that I talked about it yesterday, but Snopes corrected their 7-year-old lie about Donald Trump saying they're good people. The neo-Nazis are good people on both sides. And they corrected that. And that's the reason that Joe Biden said that he ran for the presidency in the first place, because he said falsely, incorrectly, wrongly, in his usual dim-witted way, that President Trump said there are good people on both sides. You know, there were lefties down there bashing people's heads in and tearing down statues of Democrats, by the way, because all the Confederates were Democrats. You know, Confederate dollars are called Democrat dollars. That was Confederate currency. That was Democrat Party currency. I'm telling you. Now, can they just keep lying about it? Sure they can. Of course they can. Everybody knew. All you had to do was listen to what he said, the soundbite, and not edit it to corrupt it, to make it something that it's not. As I like to point out, the Democrats have a long history and a habit, an ongoing habit, of taking what you said, changing it until it is not what you said, and then attacking you for what you didn't say. That is a standard practice on the part of the Democrat Party because, you know, they're not on our side.
And the young woman was killed. And they asked the president what he thought. And he said there were very fine people on both sides. We got to stand up and we got to fight. All of us have to fight and say enough, 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 enough.
Going to put y'all back in chains. Going to put y'all back in chains. That was Mitt Romney, the Mormon who's never had a drink and doesn't cheat on his wife, who was going to put them all back in chains because the Democrats, put them in chains. The Republicans broke away the chains. Juneteenth was the last day that Republicans arrived at the last Democrat outpost and said, oh, yeah, a couple of years ago we did away with slavery. I guess the Democrats kept that a secret. There was no internet then, no broadband internet, no high-speed internet, none of that stuff. Really remarkable stuff. You're a Democrat Party. At least they're bringing back tuberculosis, though. I am telling you. So another story breaking today from the Reuters news agency, which writes it with great bias, great anti-Trump bias. They've got an exclusive in the headline. Trump-handed plan to halt U.S. military aid to Kiev unless it talks peace with Moscow. Now, wait a minute. What is that? That's some kind of a headline there from Graham Slattery and Simon Lewis. Pretty amazing stuff. And these two Democrats, they write, they're anti-Trump zealots. Two key advisors to Donald Trump have presented him with a plan to end Russia's war in Ukraine. That sounds like a good idea. If he wins the presidential election, well, it'd be hard to do if he didn't. Where's Joe Biden's plan to end the war in Ukraine? Well, how many people have died? 800,000 people, I believe, have died, counting both sides, which is how you do that in wars. You count both sides. So the Reuters people, Graham and Simon, they say that if he wins the presidency, they've got a plan to end Russia's war in Ukraine that involves telling Ukraine it will only get more U.S. weapons if it enters into peace talks. All right. Now, that's a very negative right. So wait a minute. You're saying that two people who are advisors to President Trump have presented him with a plan to bring peace in the Ukraine-Russia war, right? That's the headline. That should be the headline. But that's not the headline because they have this filthy anti-Trump, left-wing, Democrat donkey boy headline here. Trump-handed plan to halt U.S. military aid. That's not the lead. That's not the key. Not at all. And wouldn't Ukraine be interested in entering into peace talks? Would they really have to, have the screws put to them to enter into peace talks? But here's the former president and future president saying, I have a plan to end the war in Ukraine. Peace talks. And peace talks may involve telling Ukraine, listen, we want you to enter into peace talks with Russia. And what are they going to do? Say no? And if they do say no, we're not going to enter into peace talks with Russia, then shouldn't we say, well, wait a minute, we're not going to support this war endlessly, this endless European war on the edge of NATO territory. Yes, you will enter into peace talks. Now, I mean, this is written by idiots who are corrupt here. Under the plan, and this is kind of interesting, the United States would at the same time warn Moscow that any refusal to negotiate would result in increased U.S. support for Ukraine. Retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, one of Trump's national security advisors, said in an interview. Under the plan drawn up by Kellogg and Fred Fleitz, who both served as chiefs of staff in Trump's National Security Council during his 2017 to 2021 presidency, in case you didn't know when it was. there would be a ceasefire based on prevailing battle lines during the peace talks. Sounds like a perfectly good path to peace talks. But the Reuters news agency makes it out to be a very negative thing, don't they? And these two hacks typing up on behalf of the Biden campaign. They have presented their strategy to Trump, and the former president responded favorably, Flights said. I'm not claiming he agreed with it or agreed with every word of it, but we were pleased to get the feedback we did, said Fred Flights. However, Trump spokesperson Stephen Chung said only statements have been made by Trump or authorized members of his staff should be deemed official. Blah, blah, blah. So President Trump has Fred Flights and the now retired Lieutenant General, 3-star General Keith Kellogg, and they have a plan for peace talks, and it's being attacked. Step one, it's an exclusive, and they're attacking it like it's a bad idea. Like, oh, well, hey, wait, he's threatening to withhold arms shipments to Ukraine unless they're willing to enter into peace talks. All right, I'm in favor of that. Shouldn't they be willing to enter into peace talks? Don't they want peace? Aren't they being attacked by a much bigger, stronger, more powerful adversary, enemy, Russia, Putin? Yes. But the news media attacks it because a lot of mental illness out there among Democrats. All right, let's grab a phone call. Let's go to Nettie, calling from Warrenton, Virginia. Nettie, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Well, thank you, Chris. Good talking to you. Listen, we all know that the Democrats are nothing but cheating liars and scumbags. I have not heard anyone speak of in my watching the news and all this other stuff of not the possibility, but them stealing the questions that's going to be brought up at that debate. You know darn well that they've done it.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. They had their DNC chair, former DNC chair, Donna Brazile, who was on CNN staff. And she, Donna Brazile, made sure to cheat and get the questions that when CNN was hosting another debate. You're absolutely right, Nettie. And if we only had a news media that was interested in the truth, we'd be living in a very different world, wouldn't we?
We sure would be. I mean, the Republicans have fallen really short, as well as the news media. But my thing is also, Chris, is what are the Republicans doing that's supposed to be doing for us, making sure that they are covering what needs to be covered to make sure that they're not stealing them? Or are they just going to say, okay, they sold them?
Since you brought it up, Nettie, and it's a wonderful thing to bring up, the story from 2016. Brazile, Donna Brazile, former DNC chair, CNN employee at the time, Brazile under siege after giving Clinton debate questions. So there it is. Donna Brazile came to the Democratic National Committee to steady a ship rocked by email hacking scandal. Now under fire for for obviously favoring the Hillary Clinton campaign during the primary process, and now new emails because it shows that the DNC interim chair, middle of a controversy of her own with the Clinton campaign, again, caught in the mix. The news media is very reluctant to report this story at the time. But Donna Brazile, working at CNN, DNC chair, got the questions that CNN was using in the debate, fed them to the Clinton campaign for the debate, because corruption is their business. Lying, cheating, dishonesty, it's what they do. And Donna Brazile's not even the worst among them, but that's bad enough. They love, and the intelligence people who corrupted the presidential election. We are a banana republic thanks to the Democratic Party. Thank you, Nettie. A great point, a very important point. Are you tired of buying those expensive HEPA filters again and again and replacing them in your air purifier? Well, say goodbye to nasty home odors, to smelly stuff, and to those expensive filters with the Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier. The thunderstorm eliminates bad smells, and it eliminates those expensive filters that you've got to replace again and again, because the Eden Pure Thunderstorm uses Oxy technology, and odors in your home or office will disappear in a matter of seconds. Nasty smells from dirty laundry and pets and litter boxes, and even leftists' musty, mildewy smells. No match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. Even Michael Moore, that's almost impossible. And no more expensive filters to buy. Just turn on the Eden Pure Thunderstorm and forget about it. It works quietly in the background, cleaning and freshening the air in your home. Goes under furniture, behind furniture. The Thunderstorm gets rid of all those odors and saves you money and hassle on those filters. Place a Thunderstorm in your bedroom, your family room. They make great gifts, too. And right now, you can get $200 off a 3-pack of Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifiers for whole home protection. All you have to do is visit EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com, and use the discount code CHRIS3. You're going to get 3 of them. Chris, CHRIS, and the number 3. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yes, sir. Yeah, the Democrats, just don't accuse them of cheating. Then they get caught, and then they erase it from the public consciousness in a matter of days. That's what information dominance is all about. President Trump, talking peace between Ukraine and Russia and being attacked for it by the Reuters news agency, the news media with their exclusive. President Trump also on Truth Social, plugging a documentary film called Screams Before Silence. Screams Before Silence. President Trump says the documentary Screams Before Silence is incredibly difficult to watch. It graphically portrays the death and destruction that Hamas has unleashed. And he urges people to watch Screams Before Silence. And he demands that Hamas release the hostages, including 8 American hostages, and ends it with peace through strength.